It's a very long and intensive process to clean, so there were other specialists present over the weekend looking and assessing to see if there was any other way or any other technique that could be used to accelerate the process, because the longer the oil stays there, the more harmful it will be for the marine life that lives there. And so we hope that the resources are being given. We hope that the costs that are being recuperated from the sort of guilty parties will afford the best possible response to this. But you know, money can't pay for the dedication and love for nature that volunteers have and carry with them, and so we hope that that effort will continue. But there are issues against that, which is the tides, and so you can only work certain times of the day, which means a lot of people work, and they cannot, even wanting to help, they can't help outside during the week. So it's a challenge, and hopefully it'll get cleaned as soon as possible. But as we were cleaning, we were also discussing with ourselves that it may not be the end of the story. You know, it may hopefully miss Seven Sisters, you know, the next time, but you know, once the ship starts to be cut up, I mean, we've been told about what to expect. We were told to expect heavy oil soiling. But when it hits, it's still as bad as if we hadn't been told, because, you know, the damage is there. It's destroying and damaging our natural resources. And so the prospect of cleaning this area to potentially be polluted again is also very, very troublesome and a real problem.
Do you think more could have been done ahead of this damage we're now seeing, and something that perhaps could be done going forward to avoid this level of damage in future should it occur again?
I mean, we said at the very beginning when it happened, this vessel was carrying dry cargo. Dry cargo doesn't require a double hull. The only thing that could have averted this oil spill or this problem was a double hull. By law, they're not required for dry cargo. We think that, you know, the shipping industry has a duty to double hull wherever possible, because even carrying a few tons of fuel as opposed to a whole cargo of fuel of tens of thousands of oil still result in the problems that we're seeing. So best have double hull vessels that could avoid and prevent, but obviously that doesn't answer the situation that we face today. So we need to find whatever we can to help clean up our beautiful Gibraltar.
So in terms of the cleanup effort, what we're focusing on is the black stuff that's floating around in the water. And although that does need to be cleaned up, what we have to also recognize is the damage that's caused when the black stuff starts to mix vertically in the water column. Because what that is doing is that is entering the ecosystem. All our filter feeders and the base of our food web, the plankton, are now starting to absorb this oil that has mixed with the water, and it's going through the food web in a process called bioaccumulation. And what we're seeing is the toxins would be working their way through the food web and affecting the animals, the organisms that live at the top of the food web, ultimately us.
Well, looking more closely at the Seven Sisters site, it's a thriving ecosystem, and obviously the extent of oil there will have some effect on this. Could you give us a sense of what type of species might have been affected so far?
So remember that Seven Sisters is not just a special area, it's a marine protected area by the Gibraltar Nature Protection Act, so it's defined as that within it. And along that area there's a whole wealth of invertebrates, marine invertebrates, that form the base of the food chain. But one in particular is protected by the Nature Protection Act and is also protected by the EU Habitats Directive. And this is this limpet here, which is Patella ferruginea. And this one was found in one of our sampling surveys at Sandy Bay, and it had obviously died as a result of the oil spill. We were able to identify where the home scar was, which was right next to where we found the shell, and we were able to verify that this limpet had died because of oil.
So a breach of our own protection laws?
Yes, indeed. That's exactly what's happened.
Right. Well, going forward, I know the Nautilus Project is looking at conducting some research into this, so could you give our viewers a sense of what you'll be doing?
So what we want to do is we want to establish a disturbance survey to understand how the oil has affected both the water and the sediment around the OS-35, and we're looking to collect samples, sediment samples and water samples, to create that gradient profile that we can use then to determine how much it's affected the ecosystem.
And when might you start that process?
Well, we're looking to start as quickly as possible. We're waiting for the final permissions to come in so that we can begin the work.